Alright, so today I am going to be talking with all of you about the ROG Ally, and I was not planning to make a video on this whatsoever. No, I don't have hands-on experience with it. I am a small channel. A, I'm not buying it. B, I don't have any access to it. I don't have hands-on experience. Let's get that right out of the way. So if you guys are looking for somebody with that kind of experience on it, there's plenty of other channels out there. But I watched I watched a lot of videos on the ROG Ally, and it feels like the focus of this device is of course going to be the performance of it. And if you look at just the performance, it looks great. But there's some things that I want to point out, kind of like a buyer beware type thing, because I think there's some things that people aren't talking about that are just as important, if not more important, than the performance of a device. And don't get it twisted, I know I have a Steam Deck video. If y'all would like to check that out, go ahead. I don't go crazy in depth or anything. I really just talk about how I feel about it and why I love it. So if you feel like it and want to see that video, go for it. So yes, I have a Steam Deck, but I'm not trying to be biased here about the ROG Ally. I want competition for the Steam Deck. I love when there is competition because then it makes both of the competitors, and hopefully multiple of the competitors, hopefully there are multiple eventually, I don't want a monopoly or a duopoly, hopefully it makes them all better by having those competitors. They all strive to be better because each of them is getting better and better and better, and yada yada. You understand how competition works. So anyways, I am not somebody that completely hates the ROG Ally or anything like that. I just want to see it succeed, and I have my skepticism. So this is me talking to all of you about that, hopefully putting some awareness out there. I don't know how many people this will reach, as it is a small channel, but hopefully it reaches a good amount. Even if it reaches one of you though, that's good enough for me. But I am your STATISTACS. What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all having a great day. By the time this is out, Mother's Day will have passed, so I hope you all had a great Mother's Day. Hope you all had fun. Hope all the mothers out there had a good day. Happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. And if y'all are enjoying the video, definitely like it, subscribe, let me know what you think of the ROG Ally. Are you gonna get one? Are you not? Let me know down below. Anyways, let's get right into it. Alright, so we all know the incredible specs of the ROG Ally. It can outperform the Steam Deck. It can play 1080p, 120 Hz, although what it can play at 120 Hz, on what graphic settings, at what resolution. What I'm alluding to here is specs are specs and performance is performance. And what I mean by that is they're going to throw a bunch of numbers at you, but what do those numbers really mean? I mean, you can say that it can do 1080p, you can say that it can do 120 Hz, but how many games is it really going to be hitting a full 120 frames? You know, just something to keep in mind. But what I want to really jump into first is support for the ROG Ally. And what I mean by that isn't like, oh, are they gonna, continue to update its firmware, software side of things? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is things break. For example, Linus Tech Tips has already had his X button jammed like dozens of times according to him, and it even happened in the video he made. I'll link it for anybody who somehow hasn't seen it. If you're watching this video, I feel like you've seen it. I don't know. So things break, and you need to be able to fix those things. And with Valve, very early on, they made it clear how things can get fixed. They put all of their parts on iFixit, and obviously, of course, there's shipping the device back to them, and then they, either fix yours and send it back, or they ship you a new one, whatever. And it had a guaranteed warranty for the first year of you owning it, and then, you could upgrade your warranty through Upsy for an additional like 2 or 3 years or whatever, which I did. I got the additional warranty because it's a very expensive device, so for an additional like $80, it's kind of worth it to me. But the ROG Ally, I haven't seen any of this, and somebody can prove me wrong down below. I'd absolutely be very okay with that. I am always up for people bringing in news that I am not able to hear and correcting me. That is very okay with me. But as far as I've seen, there's not a whole lot of talk on like what happens if, obviously when you're advertising the device, that's kind of something you don't really want to do, is be like, oh, if it breaks, like you don't want to make it sound like it breaks, but things happen. So you want to know what to do when those things happen. And to point it out, not saying that it's correlated, because I don't know how big like Asus is and if the ROG Ally department is a separate area of the business and maybe things will get handled differently there. But what I'm alluding to here is the Asus motherboard incident, where if you go check out Gamer Nexus, I'll also link the video down below and put it in the eye right in the top right corner over there. If you go watch that video, I don't remember the full story, but essentially did something to their motherboard with the BIOS, and then their voltage and stuff was acting wacky and basically ended up with a processor that Gamer Nexus had imploding. They essentially just denied all responsibility of that happening when customers were calling up to try and get a refund or anything. They just basically said like, nope, sorry. It was like, I think like a beta BIOS or something that you had to sign up for, and if you did, it was supposed to fix something. I don't know the full story, that's why I linked the video, okay? So go watch it. I'm not fully in depth on it. I just know that Asus has been denying any kind of responsibility and not helping customers whatsoever. Their customer support on this has been horrendous. JayzTwoCents, I watched a video from him and he literally fired them as a sponsor. He's getting rid of all Asus equipment that he has. It's just not a good look when you have the ROG Ally coming out, and it's a device that, just like a console or something else, I know it's a handheld computer, but just like a console, people are going to be depending on the company to be able to fix problems with it. So what happens when something goes wrong with this? You're just out like $700? It's more expensive than a motherboard. At least most motherboards. It's just a bit of an issue that I definitely don't think enough people are looking at, is the customer support side of it. And if you look at Valve, if you go on r/Steam Deck, I have seen many stories of people telling me about a pleasant customer support dealing. Maybe there's been some unpleasant dealings, but I've actually honestly never read a story that's an unpleasant dealing with Valve on the end of something wrong with somebody's Steam Deck and Valve is like, sorry. They usually are pretty good about it. Obviously there's things that are just out of their hand if their, Steam Deck is out of warranty or they did something to it that was like avoiding warranty, whatever. Obviously that's a different story, but Valve is usually very willing to take care of your device and help you out if, it's within the guidelines of doing so. And they also have iFixit, a website where if you haven't seen it, you can go on there and they posted up all of the parts for the Steam Deck. You can go on there and order any part and fix it yourself. You just wait for the part to come in and then you can fix your Steam Deck yourself if you so please. So the accessibility of support with the ROG Ally to me is very questionable, especially immediately following what happened with the motherboards. If you haven't seen the videos, I do implore you to go check it out. It's pretty interesting. Now here's my next point. The ROG Ally specs are great. It's as I was saying earlier on, they definitely just beat the Steam Deck. It's just pretty much overall beat the Steam Deck. If you watch Linus Tech Tips, I will have it linked down below. You haven't seen that video, I definitely implore that you watch that as well, because a lot of my info is coming from videos I've watched myself. I've watched Bill from the NerdNest. If you haven't seen him, if you've never heard of him, he's awesome. I absolutely love him. I'll link him down below as well. But basically, the ROG Ally outperforms the Steam Deck on full blast, but where it comes short is the Steam Deck can tune down its wattage and everything to save battery life, and when it does it, it still draws a good amount of power at low power to get the frames that you want. It thrives pretty well on low power, and then it saves itself battery, which is amazing. So this is where the ROG Ally falls short. When you turn down the power, it doesn't handle it as well as the Steam Deck. But I watched a video where a guy tested the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck side by side, tried to tune them to about the same. He did tune them to about the same, and then he emulated Paper Mario and ran them both. And the ROG Ally still only lasted 3 hours of battery. They both have the same battery, or at least the same battery capacity. So the ROG Ally only lasted 3 hours. The Steam Deck, when you tune it, it'll last you about 6 to 7 hours. depending on what you're playing, what you're tuning, but this was the same tuning and the same game running. And the ROG Ally doesn't last as long when you try to tune it back. It just basically, it's the same as if it's on full blast, so it's like, what's the point? Not the exact same, but it's just definitely a lot shorter than the Steam Deck. It doesn't draw back as well as it should, and maybe that'll be fixed through software updates. I don't know. I don't know what they can do to fix that. I am not a technical person of that degree. What I do know is when I play on my Steam Deck, I typically don't play. This is a personal thing now, so it totally depends on you. I don't play very hard to run games. On my Steam Deck, I usually play Stardew Valley, Octopath Traveler, stuff of that nature. 2D pixel art games. I think like one of the more demanding games I played was probably the SpongeBob remaster of Bikini Bottom. And even that, I was able to tune it down some to save myself some battery life. So I don't play very demanding games. I don't play like brand new AAA games that are like super high demanding power hungry. I play a lot of things that are just low power draw, very like easy to play. I can tune everything down way back and just play it for hours on hours if I so please. I usually don't. My playtime is typically in short bursts on the Steam Deck, but either way, I save a lot of battery and I can, last up to about 6 hours. I have played extended periods of time on my Steam Deck, just normally I play it in short bursts because it's like car rides, stuff like that. So what I found interesting is that knowing this, the ROG Ally, it's funny because it's kind of like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally depending on what you think you're going to be playing a lot of on your device. If you think you're going to be playing a lot of older AAA games or just very simple games like Stardew Valley or Vampire Survivor or, simpler, easier to run, not very heavy load games, the Steam Deck is probably for you. The ROG Ally, it kind of seems like it's only really for people who want to play, heavy load AAA games or maybe like competitive FPSs, but like I can't see too many people wanting to be able to play a competitive FPS on their handheld device. And I feel like even if you do, just because it has the capability of going up to 120 hertz, doesn't mean it's going to do it, and you might have to kill a lot of your graphics to reach that, because again, it's a handheld, and even if it's more powerful than the Steam Deck, its power is still limited. So I don't know how well it would run something like Call of Duty, but I mean, it's also cool that you can play Destiny 2 on there. I think that's awesome. I wish the Steam Deck would get that support. I hope it eventually does. I think it eventually will. I think it just is going to take more time of proving that it's worth it. So the ROG Ally does have its advantages. I'm not saying it has none. I just think, me personally, the Steam Deck has the advantages that I want, and that's not me just saying it because I have it, because of course I have a device. I want it to be the best device. I already own it. But that's not me being biased. It's just that I play very simple games, because I suck with a controller, so I am not going to be playing any kind of FPS on a controller. I am way too accustomed to keyboard by now, keyboard and mouse. So typically the games I play on controller are games like Octopath Traveler. So to me, it's kind of like coming down to if you want to play new AAA games or Destiny 2 on the go, the ROG Ally is for you. If you don't plan on playing those heavy load games, I think the Steam Deck is for you. And something else that the Steam Deck has an advantage of that the ROG Ally doesn't is the operating system. The operating system on the Steam Deck is fully catered toward the Steam Deck. The hardware, the device, and what it is meant for, which is being a handheld gaming device that's trying to have the best battery life with the best, with the most amount of power it can have. So with Windows, it's not catered towards any one thing. It's Windows. It's a power hungry operating system that is going to absorb a lot of your power and waste it on background crap so that Microsoft can see what you're doing, yada yada. While SteamOS, it's purely trying to be as efficient as possible so that when you're playing a game, all of the power possible is going towards that game. You can look it up. Again, I'm not being biased here. This is just operating system to operating system. This is just how they operate. And again, SteamOS is completely catered towards what the Steam Deck is as a device because it's only on the Steam Deck. As of right now, I'm kind of looking forward to a desktop release. I'm hoping that there is a proper desktop release in the near future so I can try it myself. I'm kind of looking forward to it. But my point about the OSs is that the Steam Deck's battery life now has a chance to get even better by operating system updates, making things more efficient, making the device use less power to run the same operating system. Windows isn't going to get that. It's not going to get that. It's a general operating system that runs on a million other devices that aren't handheld, so it's never going to get those updates that the SteamOS would to cater more towards the Steam Deck. So now the Steam Deck in long run stands to improve more with battery life. Maybe not a ton, but it definitely stands to improve. And honestly, in my opinion, the ROG Ally on Windows just stands to not improve. It just stands to honestly get worse because Windows just gets worse. Yeah, like just release after release, I feel like Windows just constantly gets worse. But I am biased on that, I will admit. I hate Windows 11. I think it's really, really, really stupid. So to me, overall, the Steam Deck is set up for the long run with its own platform to be on, and it's going to get updates catered towards it. Meanwhile, I think it's going to be very difficult for the ROG Ally to get that same kind of support being on a Windows device. I think Asus can maybe reach out to an extent with the Armory, Crate, Command Center stuff, all that, whatever it is. So I think it'll be able to do some stuff, but just not as much, being that it's a device on Windows. But that's going to wrap it up here. Let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys have any concerns? What do you think of the whole customer support topic? What do you think of the battery, the specs, the, low drawing power or AAA? Do you guys plan on playing full-on AAA, like modern day games that are going to be harder to run? Do you guys plan on playing smaller indie games? What do you think of the ROG Ally? What do you think of the Steam Deck? What do you guys prefer? And what do you think of the Asus motherboard incident? I'm kind of curious if anybody knows about that. If you don't, then I definitely implore you to go check out the video. I linked it down below. It'll be a Gamer Nexus video. Make sure you watch it because it's pretty interesting. If you have the time, I think it's a longer video, so I don't blame you. But if you have the time, definitely check it out. It's interesting. I also, linked down below, will have my Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch where I stream, and my Twitter. If you guys want to be able to have discussions and things of that nature, and if you like to give recommendations on me on videos to make, I would love to hear from all of you, either down below or on Twitter or Instagram or wherever. Just reach out to me, and if you have a video idea or a game you'd like to see me play or something, definitely let me know. I can't guarantee that it'll happen, but I'm always happy to hear recommendations and definitely try to get them out there. So that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for coming through. If you've made it this far, especially, thank you. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.